What is going on, everybody? WeedleTwineedle here, and we are back again with some more VGC 2018 battling content, and this first battle is going to be against Urgho.
Yes.
I don't really know how to pronounce that, but my first opponent is packing a very fun team indeed, with Landorus, Snorlax, Cresselia, and Tapu Fini thick. So we just have a really thick, offensively annoying team, which is very fun. Now, as you can see by my team, I'm packing two furry Pokemon, an Incineroar and a Megalopunny, and then a Murkrow, Focus Sash Murkrow to be exact. So without further ado, let's hop right into this battle. Alrighty, so we're challenged by someone who, of course, is wearing the ugly bucket hat. Why do people wear that? Just take that shit off. It looks so ugly. So I lead off with my furry wrestler and my Clefairy, as my opponent is up with the Cresselia and the Snorlax. So normally, you know, Incineroars go for fake outs, and, you know, Clefairies go for follow me, but this strategy, my Clefairy actually has Belly Drum. I thought of this strategy all by myself, by the way, but since my opponent has a Snorlax on the field, I don't even have to keep Clefairy in here. I bring up my Murkrow here, predicting my opponent to want to go for the Trick Room with Cresselia and Belly Drum with Snorlax, so I'm going to go for the Dark Z move from my Incineroar, get cloaked in the Z Aura, get +2 speed, and I'm going to go for the Z Snatch. And I'm really hoping the Snorlax goes for the Belly Drum. And what do you know? We're going to snatch that shit right away from that Snorlax. So we're going to get +6 attack from the Snorlax. And if the Snorlax wasn't going to go for Belly Drum, like I said, my Clefairy has Belly Drum. So I could snatch that shit away from Clefairy. In between Intimidate, my defensive investments, and Friend Guard, I should be able to live the barrage of attacks from these Pokemon. My opponent tries to go for Helping Hand into the attack, but I go for Protect to guard my furry wrestler from any harm from the fat ass Pokemon. And my opponent, I don't want him to go for Ally Switch, so I go for the Taunt on Cresselia so he cannot click that win button and automatically win the game. So he tries to go for high horsepower. We're able to guard ourselves with the Protect, and now I can just go for Quash and just pat the Snorlax right on the head, squish him down a bit, suppress his movement. My opponent's going to go for the Ice Beam, but since we are Spadef Murkrow, we should be able to live this very nicely, as we're able to live that. And now I'm going to go for the Power Trip, targeting into the Snorlax, and this is going to demolish that Snorlax. So down goes the fat-ass Snorlax, as now my opponent's going to bring in the Tapu Fini, a pretty good counter to Incineroar. However, how well will it fare against a +6 Incineroar with +2 speed with Power Trip? Not going to be doing so hot, so I'm going to decide to go for Quash again. I know the Cresselia can't go for Ally Switch because of Taunt, so I'm going to go for Quash. My opponent's going to go for the Ice Beam to knock out my Murkrow, so that was a very nice play on my opponent's part. And down goes my Murkrow, but we still got the Quash off, so we're going to be able to go for Power Trip. Even with Trick Room up, we're going to outspeed the Tapu Fini because of Quash. Quash makes your opponent move last, and with Prankster, you automatically move first, unless they have super priority. So down goes the Tapu Fini to Power Trip, and now my opponent's going to bring in Landorus-T, and I'm going to bring in my Megalopunny, the fake bunny rabbit that everyone is in love with for some reason. So we're going to get intimidated, but my Incineroar is still at +5 attack and +2 speed, so it's not like the attack drop really matters all that much. And my Megalopunny is going to Mega Evolve here, and I could just go for Fake Out against Landorus-T. And this Cresselia is not really a threat to Incineroar because it can't really touch Incineroar, so I'm going to go for the Fake Out, targeting into the Landorus Therian form, because with Trick Room up, he's probably going to outspeed me because I do have +2 speed. My opponent's going to go for Ice Beam, fishing for a lucky freeze, but unfortunately he does not get a 10% chance to win. And now I'm going to be able to go for the Power Trip, and that's going to obliterate this Landorus-T. And yeah, my opponent just got overwhelmed by the furry wrestler with Snatch. The Taunt's going to wear off, the Trick Room's going to wear off, but at this point I can just go for Power Trip, and at +5 attack, +2 speed, I believe that makes us 160 base power. That Cresselia is going to go right down, and that's going to be a pretty convincing victory against my first opponent, Urgho. So good game to my opponent, but let's move on to the next battle. Alrighty, my second opponent today was actually like a pretty highly rated opponent. I believe she was like 1700s, and she had like an EV team, so I decided to bring the exact same setup as I did in the last battle, but as you can see, she has a Linoon, so you can already see how this battle is going to turn out, but let's just hop right into this battle. Alrighty, my second opponent, of course, is wearing the very basic bitch Pikachu outfit. I feel like the people who don't wear the Pikachu outfit are the people who wear the Komao outfits, and you already know how I feel about Komao. So I lead off with my furry wrestler and Clefairy, as my opponent is up with the Linoon and his own Clefairy, and you already know what Linoon wants to go for. It's pretty much a one-trick pony unless I'm using Linoon, and then it's just like simple meme with like freaking Scarf Trick and shit. Don't use Linoon the way I do, people. Do not use Linoon the way I do. So since I know Linoon's probably gonna go for Belly Drum, I bring in my Lopunny here. And the thing is with Incineroar is that most people expect Fake Out, so they're either gonna Fake Out your Incineroar, but guess what? Snatch goes before Fake Out. Oh! So basically, you're going to be able to Snatch before they even fake you out, and then with Friend Guard and Intimidate, you're going to be able to Snatch your own Clefairy's Belly Drum. I thought of the strategy all by myself, by the way. I forgot to acknowledge that. My opponent's going to try to go for Follow Me to redirect any damage targeted at Linoon, but unfortunately, we're going to snatch away my dude's Belly Drum. So we're going to get +6 attack from my opponent's Belly Drum, and at this point, my opponent literally instantly forfeits because I just snatched the Belly Drum. Alrighty, my third opponent, Obito, looks nothing like Obito, the character I'm thinking of, but it's okay. So my opponent is packing a very fun team with Tapu Lele, Drifblim, Tapu Bulu, and Mega Blastoise. This time around, I'm bringing a completely different strategy with Toxapex and Claydol, which have a pretty decent defensive synergy with each other, with Mega Lopunny and Clefairy. And some of you guys are probably confused. Why is WeedleTwineedle using freaking stall tactics in VGC?
So bored.
But just watch. Okay, so Obito is also wearing the Pikachu outfit. I don't know why everyone wears this Pikachu outfit, but they do for some reason. I don't know. So he leads off with Tapu Lele and the Drifblim, as I decided to lead off with my Toxapex and my Claydol. So you guys are probably wondering, what could Weedle possibly be trying to do with Toxapex and Claydol? Obviously, he's not stalling because he tries to make fun YouTube content. So what is Toxapex and Claydol going to do? Stay tuned, people. Stay tuned for it. So I'm going to go for Baneful Bunker turn 1 because Tapu Lele, like all of my VGC teams, it 6-0s them. So I have to protect myself from the Tapu Lele so it doesn't just one-shot my butt with Psychic. And my opponent's going to go for Tailwind to get off his speed control. He's going to Psychic targeting into Toxapex as I'm able to go for my Trick Room. So Trick Room versus Tailwind, typically Trick Room does win out on that. So you guys are probably wondering, why are you using Claydol over like anything else for Trick Room? I'm gonna go for a Bulldoze targeting into Lele and Toxapex, and Toxapex takes a lot more damage than I thought, but it's because we crit ourselves. We're going to lower our speed, but we're able to activate our weakness policy. And from here, I'm gonna lower the Lele's speed as well, but I'm gonna go for Gong Shot. Thankfully, we're able to connect them. I'm hoping at +2 attack, we're able to knock out Lele with Stab Gong Shot, and thankfully, Tapu Lele just falls over. So down goes Tapu Lele, and you guys are probably like, well, Toxapex's freaking attack stat is horrendous, so why are you trying to use Toxapex physically? Just keep watching, people. Just keep watching. So my opponent's gonna bring in the Mega Blastoise. Now, if my opponent wants to fake out Toxapex, I'm fine with that because, like I said in the previous battle, Snatch goes before Fake Out. So you're like, wait, Toxapex has Snatch? Yes, Toxapex has Snatch. Watch this shit. So I go for the Snatch on my Toxapex, and my opponent tries to go for Fake Out in Psychic Terrain. So like, okay, buddy. And we're gonna snatch our way Power Trick now. Toxapex has a massive defense stat, so we're gonna take that defense stat and make it our attack stat. So now our Toxapex hits extremely hard. And then my opponent's like, well, you know what? Have this free rain dance as well. So my opponent gives me rain as well. So I'm assuming the opponent is trying to use like Tailwind plus rain dance with Water Spout Mega Blastoise. I used that shit back in Generation 6. Been there, done that. I'm gonna click that win button as well with Claydol, trying to just plot positions and go for the Stab +2 Liquidation against Mega Blastoise, see how much damage we can do, as unfortunately Blastoise is able to live, but Mega Blastoise probably has HP investment, and I guess Toxapex, even at +2 attack in the rain, isn't the strongest mon. We're able to weaken the Water Spell to the point where this Blastoise isn't really a threat, and my opponent is going to allow me to eat my Aguav Berry. I'm pretty sure I always give it Aguav Berry. Yeah, Aguav Berry, it's the most fun to say. My opponent's going to try to go for Will-O-Wisp, but he targets into Claydol thanks to the win button, so we're able to ally switch and, you know, switch positions, thankfully. And from here, I'm pretty sure I want to target this Drifblim because I don't want my physical Toxapex to get burned. So I'm going to switch out of my Claydol here and bring in my Lopunny because I can fake out the Mega Blastoise. Actually, no, I can't because Psychic Terrain, but I have other tactics to get around it. But because of Trick Room, I'm able to go for Liquidation, and that's just going to knock out Drifblim. So no burning my Toxapex today. Down goes the Drifblim, and my opponent's going to go for Scald, targeting into my Toxapex, so we're able to live very comfortably. But of course, we get burned anyways because Scald has a 100% chance to burn you if the opponent uses it, but if you use it, good luck. At the very least, you know, we already did some damage with the Toxapex before we got burned, so it's not the end of the world, but getting burned was pretty unfortunate. But he's going to bring in his Bulu and reset the terrain, so now we can actually go for Fake Out, which I'm perfectly fine with, so I'm going to Mega Evolve with my Lopunny. But instead of going for Fake Out, I'm pretty sure I go for a different move here. So we're going to Mega Evolve with the Mega Lopunny, and I'm actually going to go for After You, targeting into my own Toxapex, just because since Trick Room wears off, I want to have some other form of speed control between like Quash Murkrow and, you know, After You Lopunny. I'm able to go for Gunk Shot against the Bulu, and that's going to knock out Tapu Bulu in one hit, even with Burn. So down goes Tapu Bulu, and my opponent's going to go for the Scald, targeting into the Lopunny for some reason. I don't know why he did that, but I guess he wanted to try and OHKO me, but I guess Lopunny is too thick to get one shot, so we're able to live that. And from here, I'm pretty sure Blastoise is the last mon, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, so I can just go. Well, my opponent's gonna go for a Last Ditch Protect for no reason, just like the A. I don't know why people even do this. Like, why even bother with this? Just let me get the W. But he's gonna protect himself for no reason, just to get some more grassy terrain recovery. Like, bitch, that works for me too. So I don't know what you're trying to go with here, but whatever, buddy. Here, I'm just like, well, I don't know what, this guy's pissing me off. He tried to go for Protect just to stall an extra turn, so I'm gonna let him know. I'm gonna go for the Encore Y and lock this bitch into Protect so we can no longer switch up moves and my victory is guaranteed. He's gonna fail a Protect and we're gonna miss Gunk Shot as well, so I'm like, ugh, that's annoying. But like, eventually this Blastoise is gonna go down and my opponent does decide after this turn to just click the X button because he's locking to Protect. So at the very least, my opponent, you know, accepts this defeat, and we're able to defeat Obito with freaking physical Toxapex. That's beautiful. Alrighty, my fourth opponent today is packing a very boring Rain team. Rain is my kryptonite, people. Like, Rain teams always destroy me, so if you want to get a free win against me, bring Rain teams, because my opponent has Kingdra, Politoed, Tapu Koko, and Mega Metagross, and my team doesn't really take on those Pokemon very well, so I have a pretty difficult matchup in this battle, though I figure I'd have an easier time using Toxapex and Claydol than Incineroar and Clefairy, so I brought these guys in this battle, and let's just hop right into this battle. Alrighty, my fourth opponent today looks very determined to beat me with that Rain team, that Rain squad, so I lead off with my Toxapex and my Claydol. Despite the fact my opponent has a Rain team, I figured this was the best course of action as my opponent ends up with the Politoed and the Mega Metagross. So this is pretty threatening because Mega Metagross can potentially one-shot Pax with Zen Headbutt, and Claydol will get one-shot by Politoed's Stab Water type attacks, so I need to look out for that. I'm hoping turn 1 I can just live one hit from the Mega Metagross because I am like max HP, max defense. I'm actually not max HP, I do have speed investment just so Claydol actually outslows me in Trick Room just because I need to get my weakness policy somehow. So my opponent's gonna go for the Helping Hand and I'm like, oh shit, my Toxapex is donezo. But I'm able to go for the Snatch right before I die. So at the very least we do reveal Snatch and my opponent's gonna go for Stomping Tantrum. I'm like, oh, it's only Stomping Tantrum. Maybe we can live this shit. And we're actually able to live at 32 health.
Activate our weakness policy.
And now I'm able to go for the Power Trick, snatch that shit away from my Claydol, and now my Toxapex has higher attack than Mega Metagross himself. So that's pretty scary to deal with. And my opponent sets up Rain for me. My Murkrow actually has Rain Dance as well, but my opponent just happens to be carrying Rain on these battles where I'm using Toxapex, so I'm not complaining. My opponent's gonna go for the Stomping Tantrum targeting into Pex, and I'm gonna go for the Scald targeting into my Claydol, but because we're Claydol with a really high Spit F, we're able to live pretty comfortably, and we're going to eat our Guab Berry, get our health back, because these freaking Pinch Berries are the most broken item in the VGC format, maybe besides Z moves, but I'm gonna go for the Trick Room here to get up my speed control so I can outspeed his Rain team and his Mega Metagross and all that fun stuff. So my opponent's actually going to make a really smart pivot here and pivot into his Kingdra, expecting me to go for a water type attack into the Metagross slot, so that was really nicely done, but I'm gonna click the win button anyways, just because, well, I don't know what, you click it any chance you get because it's so broken. Gonna go for the the liquidation, and Kingdra, keep in mind, quad resists this attack, and it almost does half health. I know it's in the rain, but still, that's pretty impressive, and Scald is unfortunately going to knock out my Claydol, but we're able to redirect the damage at Claydol instead of Toxapex, so Claydol definitely did its job, and down goes my Claydol. But now I'm able to bring in my Lopunny here, and Lopunny does have Fake Out pressure because Fake Out is a Fairy Unbalanced move in VGC, so Mega Lopunny is going to Mega Evolve here, and Mega Lopunny is pretty nice on this team because you can just fake stuff out, you can Encore, you can After You, and then you can go for Low Kick for any damage that you need. I like Lopunny as a support Pokemon. It's like a Mega that most people expect to be offensive, but it has some pretty nice supportive tools in its kit. So I go for Fake Out targeting Kingdra, and I'm going to go for Gunk Shot targeting Polito just because Polito can be annoying with Perish Song potentially, so I'm going to go for Gunk Shot and one-shot that Polito so easily. Down goes Polito. Thankfully we actually hit that Gunk Shot. Maybe Liquidation would have knocked him out, but I didn't want to risk it. In comes Tapu Koko, and I do have Trick Room up still, so I will be able to outspeed this thing. And since Trick Room is up, the Kingdra is actually slower than my Lopunny, so I'm gonna go for Liquidation targeting into Tapu Koko. If he protects, that's fine because I have Encore on my Lopunny. Down goes the Tapu Koko to Liquidation. I go for Encore on the Kingdra just because since Rain is up and Trick Room is up at the same time, he's actually faster than me outside of Trick Room, so in Trick Room I'm faster than him, so I'm able to Encore him into Protect. So that turn was like some next level mechanics there, but we're able to Encore him into Protect, and comes the Mega Metagross. And I figure that if it wasn't Tapu Koko being the Z move, it has to be Kingdra because I see Water EMZ Kingdra every now and again on Showdown, so I bring in my Murkrow. I'm going to Scout for the Z move just to be on the safe side because I don't really lose anything this turn from switching out and playing safe. My opponent's going to go for the Protect as well, so I was trying to bait out his Protect with Metagross as well, and my opponent ends up carrying the Z move. And if you guys didn't know this, if you Encore someone into a move and they haven't used their Z move yet, they can actually break through the Encore and hit you with their Z move just because Z moves are so balanced in that regard. So my opponent is going to go for the Hydro Vortex, but since Rain has expired and Baneful Bunker is going to make me take 25% damage from the Z move, we should be able to live this, as thankfully that did absolutely nothing. I'm very glad I decided to play it safe there and protect myself because if I played aggressively there, I would have died because if Toxapex or Incineroar dies on this team pretty much falls apart if you guys couldn't tell. So the Kingdra is going to try and go for Protect because he's locked into it. I'm going to pet Metagross on the head with Quash. The Quash animation just looks so funny. Going to go for Stab +2 Liquidation with Power Trick active. And Metagross just lives that. Like, how is Metagross allowed to live that? I understand Rain is not up anymore, but goddamn. So we're actually going to end up losing Toxapex, which is pretty devastating for me. But it's not the end of the world. Lopunny's Encore, or my bad, Kingdra's Encore is going to end from Lopunny. So now I'm going to bring back in Lopunny, and instead of going for Fake Out, targeting into Metagross, I'm actually going to pet Metagross on the head, and I'm going to go for the Encore and lock the Kingdra into Protect, because if Kingdra's locked into Protect, it's essentially a 2v1, you know, Metagross versus Murkrow and Lopunny. So we're going to fail Protect, and my opponent's going to fail Protect, my opponent's going to go for Iron Head. Thankfully, we were able to live. I may have died to Thunder Punch if he had it. I have no idea if I would have died or not. My opponent's going to go for Protect here with his Kingdra, and I'm going to go for Taunt, trying to make him struggle, because he'd be locked into Protect, and then he can't go for Protect if I taunt him, so he would actually hit himself. Thankfully, Mega Lopunny is faster than Mega Metagross, so Low Kick will knock him out, and at this point, it is 2v1, and Kingdra is locked into Protect, so my opponent's going to go for Protect here. I'm going to go for Taunt, and since, you know, I taunted him, he's going to struggle next turn, and Mega Lopunny is going to be able to hit him with a Low Kick, and this shouldn't really knock him out, but I guess Kingdra is heavier than I thought, so Kingdra's going to get knocked out by Low Kick, and we're able to defeat my opponent thanks to Physical Toxapex and Quash Murkrow. So that was a very nice battle, but let's move on to the last battle against Sinatra, and his team is pretty damn threatening, honestly. He's packing Incineroar, Amoonguss, and Venusaur, which really confused me. Like, why do you have two bulky grass poison types? I mean, don't they do like the same thing, except Venusaur's just more bulky? I don't know, but he has Landorus-T, Incineroar, Amoonguss, and Venusaur. But this battle, I actually replaced Murkrow with Craboundle because I love the crab guy so much and I wanted to use him in this video, so I'm actually using 7 Pokemon technically instead of 6, but Murkrow wasn't in this battle, unfortunately. I was just testing out Craboundle on this team because I felt like it, so there's a Crabominable in this battle, I'm sorry. And this battle I decided to lead off with my Lopunny and Crabominable for pretty obvious reasons, as I'm sure some of you guys will be able to figure that out before the battle even starts. But let's hop into this last battle against Sinatra. Okay, so I wasn't exactly sure what Sinatra wanted to lead off with, but there was one thing that a lot of his team had in common, and a lot of VGC teams have in common, is that they have no switch in to Crabominable, just because ice fighting coverage is so nice to have in VGC. So I decided to lead off with my Lopunny and my Crabominable, and as you can see, we actually cover the Amoonguss with our fist just because Crabominable's sprite is so large and in charge. So we're gonna get intimidated, so it's gonna lower our damage potential by a decent amount, but I don't think it really matters because Crabominable hits extremely hard, and if I hit either Incineroar or Amoonguss here, they're just gonna get one shot just because that's how freaking, you know, Crabominable works. It hits really hard, so I'm gonna go for Fake Out, targeting into Incineroar so I can't fake out my Crabominable. So we're going to fake out Incineroar and go for the Icy Hammer or Ice Hammer, targeting into Amoonguss, and that's just going to get demolished by Ice Hammer. So even though we're intimidated, it does not matter. Down goes Amoonguss to Ice Hammer. And that was pretty damn satisfying, not gonna lie. And now my opponent's gonna bring in the Mega Venusaur. So I was kind of confused why he brought both Mega Venusaur and Amoonguss. That was really confusing to me, but whatever, we'll go with that. I'm gonna switch out of my Lopunny here and bring in my Clefairy just in case we need to take an attack here with my Crabominable, as my opponent's gonna Mega Evolve with the Mega Venusaur to get his Thick Fat so he takes less damage from Icy Hammer. And this turn, I honestly made a 300 IQ play, but it just didn't work out for me, as you'll see. So it goes for Sludge Bomb, targeting into Clefairy. I wasn't expecting that, so Clefairy takes a huge chunk of damage, gets poisoned, which is just Skull changes, so it's not too surprising. My opponent's gonna go for Flare Blitz, targeting into my Crabominable, and we're actually going to be able to get knocked out by Flare Blitz. So down goes Crabominable. I was trying to go for Ice Hammer into the Incineroar slot anyways, predicting the Landorus-T to pivot in. But I could have just went for After You Focus Punch like I was planning, but I thought he would predict that, but I guess I overestimated my opponent, so I kind of fucked up there. So now, it's pretty much Clefairy and Incineroar versus the world. I bring in my Incineroar here, intimidate the Incineroar and Venusaur, and at this point, I'm like, wow, no, what, this game's absolutely over. I have to go for my Beam Tech. He's actually going to switch out of his Incineroar and bring in Landorus. So I did go for Icy Hammer, predicting Landorus to pivot into the Fighting type attack, but it just did not work out for me because I guess my opponent didn't feel threatened in that situation. So I kind of choked the game away there in the middle, but at this point, I'm going to go for the Z move here, the Z Snatch, because I just need to get the Z Belly Drum going. So gonna go for Z Snatch here with my Incineroar, and they're going to activate Z Snatch, get +2 speed. That's such a nice addition to Z Snatch as well. Giving you +2 speed allows you to outspeed so much stuff. And my opponent's gonna go for Earthquake. I'm like, honey, I understand Clefairy isn't typically a threat and Follow Me is definitely a move, but this is going to do absolutely nothing to both Incineroar and Clefairy, and I'm going to be able to go for a Ballet Drum, snatch that shit away from my own Clefairy. The strategy I thought of all by myself, by the way. Going to snatch that Ballet Drum away from my Clefairy, get +6 attack, and at this point Clefairy is going to be able to live the poison, so we do get one Follow Me turn, and we essentially get a free kill here because between Mega Venusaur and Landorus-T, I should be able to one-shot both of them with Power Trip, so gonna go for the Power Trip, targeting into Landorus-T just because Landorus-T has more of a chance to knock out my Incineroar than Venusaur does. And down goes Landorus-T to Power Trip, as my opponent's going to knock out my Venusaur knock out my Clefairy with Venusaur, and Sludge Bomb's going to knock out my Clefairy, but that is fine with me because now I'm going to be able. He's going to bring in the Incineroar and intimidate me, but that does not matter as I'm able to bring in my Mega Lopunny, and even if I'm at minus or only +4 attack because of the Intimidate stacking, that does not matter because I can just go for Power Trip, and I still believe I'm at like 140 base power at +4 attack, so this is still going to KO anything I want it to. I'm going to go for the Protect here, expect my opponent to want to go for Fake Out, targeting into my Incineroar, as what do you know, that's exactly what furry wrestlers do. I'm going to be able to go for the Encore. Why? And lock him into the Fake Out, so now we cannot switch up moves. My opponent's going to go for Leech Seed, targeting into the Lopunny pretty surprisingly. I thought he would want to target into the Incineroar, but I guess, you know, the +4 Incineroar with +2 speed is just not a threat, I guess. Which is fine. I mean, I'll take him targeting Lopunny over Incineroar any day. He's locking the Fake Out, so he can't do anything else. Gonna be able to go for Power Trip, targeting into the Venusaur, and at this point, this battle is pretty much over because the Incineroar is locking the Fake Out. It's just like when the opponent's locking the Protect, they cannot do shit about it. Low Kick's just going to be able to knock out the Incineroar anyways, and that's going to be the end of the battle. We're going to be able to win because we kind of reverse choked him because he didn't actually go for Sludge Bomb into Clefairy. Instead, he went for Earthquake because I guess he wanted to hit Incineroar. So that was the battle. I kind of cheesed my way out of that battle for sure because I misplayed it in the middle. Should have just went for After You plus Focus Punch with my Crabominable combo on Lopunny, but thankfully the Snatch Balladrome combo came through in the end. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this kind of cheesy VGC video, but that's pretty much what I do in VGC. Just try to have as much fun as possible because that's pretty much just how I have fun in Pokemon. Like, I could play to win, but there's so many other channels that cover like super competitive content, so I just try to play for fun and fuck around. So hopefully you guys enjoy this kind of content in VGC. If you guys enjoy this VGC content and really want to support my channel, I would appreciate it very, very much if you hit the thumbs up button, as it really helps on my channel a lot more than you think. And leaving a like tickles the YouTube algorithm. It helps get my video out there in recommended boxes so more people can look at my channel and see how awful it is. And honestly, leaving a like on the video is the best way to support my channel. And I really appreciate all of you guys who watched the video till the end. Leave a like and comment on the question of the day, which is going to be, which Pokemon would you guys like to see me utilize in a future Wi-Fi battle / VGC video? Let me know in the comments down below if you guys have any Pokemon suggestions you would like to see me utilize in a future Wi-Fi battle or like VGC video. It can be singles or doubles. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any suggestions you'd like to see me use. Pretty simple. If you guys see any suggestions in the comment section you would also like to see me utilize, you can definitely leave an upvote on their comment and be like, Weedle, use this shit right now, and maybe I'll feel more inclined to use it. I don't know. I just asked this for the question of the day because it helps me like come up with more strategies, and it's a cool way to interact with my fan base because I mean I feel like some people have some pretty cool ideas they want to share. Some people have really bad ideas that I will not use, and I do apologize if your movesets are not up to par for my standards. I just feel like that maybe Trick, Toxic Orb, Calm Mind, Roost, Max Defense, Max Social Defense, Stored Power, Zatu isn't the greatest set in the world. Like, I don't know, man. But that's going to be the question of the day. Thank you guys so much for watching till the end of the video. I will check you guys next time. Bye.